Good morning. Time to make the coffee. Well, today it's going to be a lovely 72 degrees. It's cloudy and we have a chance of rain, which is nice. It was raining yesterday. Watered my jungle out there. Made me happy. So I think it should always start raining in the evening. Just a nice, gentle rain, and have it rain during the night, and then in the morning I don't have to water. So I think that's a splendid idea. Anyway, nobody asked me. So today I'm hoping to stay home and get a few things done. I have a pile of papers that I want to look through. You know, the kind that you get that you can't really throw away yet, but you don't want to really keep forever. So I do want to do that, and that'll be a nice relaxing thing to do, even though it's annoying that you have to do that. And then I think I want to work a little bit on my dining room, getting that straightened up, but we'll see how it goes. I don't have to do anything outside. Yesterday I harvested some things and took them to my mom's, and oh, she was so happy. She kept looking at her tomatoes. She loves tomatoes, and just a big smile on her face. So cheers. It was worth it to plant those tomatoes just for that moment. Anyway, yeah, today the garden will just do what it's going to do. Nothing I need to do out there. There's still a few things that I want to do in the garden before the fall comes. I was going to make little gnome gardens and everything, but I've kind of run out of time for that. And it's already, past mid-August. So I'm not going to do that just for, a month, because the middle of October, I'm going to have to start covering things up and taking things down. So I'm not going to do that this year. I have little gnome gardens here and there inside the house. So I'll just save those things for next year, when I won't have so much hard labor to do in the garden. So every year I kind of change it up a little bit and make myself a list this time of the year, what I want to do for next year. And this year was like the big fix. So I'm glad I got all that done. Next year, I should only have to plant things and, water. So we'll see. I don't know. We just have to see. That coffee's so good, I'm going to have another sip. Yum. I think this cold foam is my favorite. The caramel macchiato. I know, I've talked about that before. But I think that's my favorite cold foam with this particular gingerbread coffee. So pretty soon everything's going to be pumpkin spice. And I like that too, but sometimes I get tired of all the pumpkin spice stuff. But before long, fall will be rolling in, and I hope it's not a super wet fall like our spring was. That was like ridiculously wet. So we'll see. It's going to do what it's going to do, so we have to make adjustments, and if you can't do things outside, just do things inside. You can make yourself an indoor garden if you really love to garden with indoor plants, or you can start veggies later on down the line. I'm thinking about doing the winter sowing in the yogurt pots. That way it kind of keeps me a little bit reined in as far as how much I can plant in those little yogurt pots. But that worked out great this spring. So, okay, well, I'm going to go enjoy my coffee and I'll be back. All right, well, yesterday I cooked these little cherry tomatoes and in the slow cooker. And now what I'm doing is I'm just putting them through a sieve, pushing all the material through. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the skins and the seeds and dry those in my dehydrator and make some tomato powder out of them. So that'll give a lot of things nice flavor. Now this would be a great tomato soup, or just keep it as tomato sauce. You can freeze them in ice cube trays and oops, and just have a little cube every time you want to add some tomato flavor to a dish. So I'm going to go ahead and finish processing this morning and just making use out of everything from the garden that I can. So I have a ricer, but I figured this is much easier to clean, so I didn't get the ricer out. And it's such a little bit that I just decided to put it through the sieve. It's just a fine sieve, and it seems to be working great. I'm just smashing everything down with this little wooden spoon, and you can see how thick it is when it comes through. So I didn't want to get my ricer out. That would require me to move a bunch of stuff because it's an appliance I don't use very often. But I definitely would use it if I had a bigger batch. But I didn't plant that much in the garden this year. I just planted enough for me to have enough to eat and maybe for my daughter and my mom. So this is what the pulp looks like. It's pretty thick, and that will go into the dehydrator. So I'm just, this worked out great, and I didn't have to stand there and babysit it. It just kind of did its own thing, and I let it cool off, and now I'm doing this. And that should be enough for several meals, even if I make it into a sauce. It would be enough for 2 meals. So I'm trying to get everything that I can out of the garden. And normally I don't store my tomatoes in the refrigerator, but with the fruit flies, I clean them really well, and then I've been storing my tomatoes in the refrigerator. So sometimes that's what you have to do so that you don't get fruit flies, because I've found that with homegrown produce, it doesn't last as long as the stuff you buy in the store because there's no preservatives or anything sprayed on them. But the flavor is just so much better. So that's what I'm doing this morning. And what the heck, I'm retired. And I used to do this stuff too when I worked. But now that I'm retired, it keeps me from getting bored. And it's stuff that I like to do. Now I know a lot of people don't like to cook and fuss, but it's a hobby that I enjoy. So I figure, why not? Save a couple bucks, and you also get some healthy food. So that's the last of it now. I'm just putting the rest of this juice through. And of course, with cherry tomatoes, you've got a million little seeds. But, you know, you can save your tomatoes you can stick your little tomato, cherry tomatoes and things. You can stick those in some dirt, and then you'll get some more tomatoes. Now it's, of course, way too late to start tomato plants for this year. But, you know, in the winter, you could do that. You could stick a little cherry tomato into one of the yogurt pots and grow some more cherry tomatoes. This year I'm not planting, or next year I'm not planting quite as many cherry tomatoes because they do grow huge depending on what kind you plant. And I do have a lot of tomatoes this year. So anyway, that's my little adventure for this morning, and I'll move on to something else now that I'm done with this. And I think I'm going to, I bought those little containers from Dollar Tree, and I think I'm going to freeze the sauce in those, and then I can use them to cook with. They'd be great to put in a soup or any other thing you want some tomato flavor in. And then when I make this into a powder, I can use that too. And it's something that you can already pre-season with whatever, you know, Italian seasoning or whatever you like. And even with freezing those in those little containers, I can add some pizza seasoning to it, and then put the let that thaw, and then put that on maybe a little non-pizza. That would be good. So lots of things that you can do with the tomatoes and the tomato powder. So all right, well, I'll be back. All right, well, these are the little containers I got from Dollar Tree. They come in round and also in square. So I think you get a dozen of them for $1.25. So I added some sugar and some pizza seasoning to my sauce. And now I'm just going to fill up these little containers and put them in the freezer. Like I said, you can use ice cube trays too. Make sure you leave a little bit of head space because they will expand as they freeze. So I didn't get a ton of stuff, but it's, you know, tomatoes that would have gone bad had I not cooked them down. So I'll probably add some to soups, and the reason I chose to season them is because that way it's one less step when I go ahead and put the frozen ones in cubes. So like I said, I did add a little sugar and a little pizza seasoning, and season it to your liking, to your taste. And one of these I think would be enough to do one of those little naan breads that you can buy. So I'll probably get about 8 of these little freezer containers. And that's it. Easy peasy. Well, today for dinner, I'm making a meatloaf, plant-based meatloaf. And at the bottom of this, I put some peas and carrots, and this is made with Impossible Burger, and I put some really weird things in it, but I'm trying to use stuff up. And I have a couple potatoes in there that kind of need to be used up. So here's what I used. I used some seasonings, whatever I liked, and I've had these little dried bread pieces that I bought quite a while ago, so I put some of those in the Vitamix, and I put some of these honey mustard with onion pretzels in with it too, so I put that in there. Made like a breadcrumb mixture. I put some of this mushroom umami, and I also put an egg in there, and what else? just a bunch of different seasonings. Oh, and I had a little tiny bit of hummus left over that I wanted to use up. So I finished that up too. So I hope it turns out tasty. I think it will. So I'm going to cook this on high for a few hours now. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and hopefully it'll be done by 6-ish. I don't know, have to wait and see. So anyway, that is tonight's dinner, and that will make a meal for several dinners. So we'll see how it turns out. I'm probably going to glaze it with some ketchup and mustard, either that or some barbecue sauce when it's done. But yeah, I'm just trying to use up some things. And I still have 3 potatoes here that I'm just going to microwave. And I'll have those ready for some more meals. So since it's cooler today, I'm in the cooking mood. And I'm in the mood for cleaning things up and cleaning things out. So starting with the cooking. So it's time to take a break from the cooking. I'm going to have another cup of beverage here, some Ticino. And I'm going to relax a little bit. So I made a mess over there with my cooking. So now I got to clean it up. But when the weather gets cooler, I feel like cooking, and I think it's a nesting thing. You know, you feel like cooking and cleaning and all that fun stuff. At least I do. Do some of you feel that way too? Do you start nesting when the fall starts rolling around? Well, it's not fall yet, but it'll be happening soon. Another month. But this whole week is going to be cool. Upper 60s and lower 70s. So I think there's 80 degree day in there, but yeah, it's good to be getting a break from that god-awful heat. That was just too much. So I don't know if I'm going to be planting much in the fall now. I'm not a cold weather gardener. I don't want to have to go out there and maintain my garden in the cold weather. I like to do it in the warm weather, but now's the time, I think, to plant spinach and lettuce. And if you brassicas and things like that, now's the time to do that. But I didn't start any of those, not this year. I just had too much work to do any of that. I mean, I could have, but it was like I was working and then I was exhausted, and it's like, no, I'm just not doing more. So anyway, I'm glad that things are finally cooling off, and we'll probably get more hot weather. I don't think this is the last of it, but for now, it's good. So I'm doing things inside, cooking and looking through my pantry, my freezer, and I'm really, really trying hard to not buy much in the way of groceries. Even the snacks and things like that, I'm trying to keep it to a minimum and not go too crazy with that, because I still have a lot of food, and I need to start using it up. It's there's no point to gathering food if you're not going to use it. Now, some people do it for prepping reasons, but even that, I don't really need my food to last me 25 years. I mean, I'd be 100 by then, and I'm sure I'm not going to be worried about that at that point. Oh, that's a scary thought. Yep, in 25 years, I'll be 100. Oh my goodness. My mother's always saying, yeah, I want to live to 100. And her aunt, who never had any kids, not that that matters one way or the other. She was my grandpa's youngest sister, and she always wanted to live to 100, and she actually, I think, died the day before her 100th birthday. So we're going to call that a win and say that she did make it to 100. So anyway, yeah, I'm hoping my meatloaf will be done in time. If not, then I'll just have something else quick and eat the meatloaf tomorrow. But sometimes I really like meatloaf. I like to eat the leftovers on a sandwich, or I like to use the leftover meatloaf instead of meatballs, like in a meatball sub or spaghetti and meatballs. You can put it on some naan bread. Yeah, it's just, I like meatloaf. There's a lot of options that you can do with it. You can even chop it up and put it in some other dishes. Wherever you put hamburger, you can use it in that. So, all right, well, I'll probably post this video before I have my dinner tonight, but I'm hoping the meatloaf is good with all the weird stuff I put in it. But, you know, instead of breadcrumbs, I did put some, and then the pretzels, just for extra flavor, because those are really good. So, well, all right, my friends, that's all I have for you today. I want to wish you abundant blessings. I love you guys. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. God bless you, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, comment, and like. It helps my channel grow. Don't forget to share, and thanks for watching.